The next part of the cardiovascular physical exam is auscultation, or listening to heart murmurs and heart sounds. Before proceeding with auscultation, the environment must be fully prepared. The environment should be neither too warm nor too cold. The patient should be fully exposed and feel psychologically and emotionally secure. And then we definitely need a stethoscope that has both a diaphragm and a bell, because some murmurs and heart sounds are better heard with the bell and some with the diaphragm. Also, both the patient and we should listen to heart murmurs in different positions and with various maneuvers. To begin auscultation, we first need to identify the locations where we listen. The first step is to find the Lewis angle. The Lewy angle is a bony prominence between the manubrium and the body of the sternum, which I can feel right under my hand now, and it is aligned with the second intercostal space. To its right and left, there are two areas, the right second intercostal space and the left second intercostal space. The right second intercostal space is specifically called the aortic area, and the left second intercostal space is precisely known as the pulmonic area. Then, in the left parasternal border area, there is a region where the sounds related to the tricuspid valve are heard. And finally, the apex area, which is located directly below the nipple and aligned with the fourth and fifth intercostal spaces along the midclavicular line, is where murmurs from the mitral valve are heard. To begin auscultation, we set our stethoscope to the diaphragm mode and check each of these areas one by one. We refer to the right and left second intercostal spaces as areas to check for abnormalities. We call the base of the heart and the apex the apical area. To make sure we don't miss anything, we need to perform auscultation systematically. That means we first place the stethoscope on the right second intercostal space, then the left second intercostal space, then the LSV area, and then the apical area. By placing the stethoscope on the second intercostal space, the normal heart sounds S1 and S2 can be heard, like this. Lub, dub, lop, dub, loop. The first sound, or S1, dub. That's the second sound. The first sound, or S1, which is heard as lub, is louder at the apex area than at the base of the heart, and conversely, the second sound, or S2, which is dub, is heard better at the second intercostal space. Compared to the apex area, the S1 sound is caused by the closure of the mitral and tricuspid valves, and the S2 sound is caused by the closure of the pulmonary and aortic valves. How do we distinguish these two from each other? The S1 sound occurs at the beginning of systole, and the S2 sound occurs at the end of systole. Therefore, it is enough for us to place our hand on the carotid pulse. And then we proceed to auscultate. The sound we hear at the start of the carotid pulse is S1, and the sound we hear at the end of the carotid pulse is S2. The interval between 1 and 2 is systole, and the interval between 2 and 1 is diastole. In the second step, we ask the patient to breathe, that is, to perform the act of inspiration. During inspiration, because preload increases and venous return to the right heart rises, the volume of blood entering the right ventricle increases. Therefore, it takes more time for the blood to be ejected from the right ventricle, and the pulmonic valve closes later. That's why the interval between P2 and A2 increases. We hear the second heart sound as a double sound, that is as splitting. So essentially, we have the first beat as one. The second beat is doubled like this. Lub-do-dub, lub-do-dub, 1-2-2, 1-2-2, and during expiration, it disappears. This is called physiological splitting of S2. If you watched this video and found it helpful, please like it and share it with your friends. And if you don't want to miss future videos, be sure to subscribe to the channel. How do we distinguish the sounds that occur during diastole, like S3 and S4? For these sounds, it's enough for us to detect the carotid artery pulse while we're auscultating. The S3 sound is heard at the beginning of diastole, and S4 is heard at the end of diastole. We place the stethoscope on the chest and use our right hand to detect the carotid pulse. The sound that coincides with the start of the pulse is S1. The sound that coincides with the end of the carotid pulse is S2, and any other sound that occurs after these is a diastolic sound, which includes S3 and S4. S3, or the third heart sound, occurs immediately after S2. That is like this. Lub-dub-ta, lub-dub-ta. Lub-dub-ta. And the fourth heart sound, which is often referred to as S4, occurs after S3. That is at the end of diastole, like this. Lub-dub-ta-ta, lub-dub-ta-ta, lub-dub-ta-ta. The next point is that S3 and S4 are low-pitched sounds. That's why, to hear them better, we need to switch the diaphragm and use the bell of the stethoscope to listen. Therefore, S3 and S4 are better heard with the bell of the stethoscope, and we should place it gently on the chest because if we press it, it will again act like the diaphragm. Now, a question arises here. You place the stethoscope on the patient's chest and you feel that the second heart sound is split. That is, you hear the second heart sound as a double sound here. You are unsure whether this is S2 splitting or S3. What do you do to differentiate between these two? Exactly. If you hear that sound only with the bell of the stethoscope, it indicates that it is the third heart sound. Because, as we said, S3 and S4 sounds are low pitched. But if it is heard with the diaphragm, then the second sound is actually S2 splitting. And on the other hand, the two components or peaks of S2 splitting are much closer together, but S3 occurs with a delay.